Good morning! Welcome to Cut and Scrap, and today we are going to make a weighted blanket. We are going to use these 5-inch cat squares, and I'm going to take you over to the ironing board, and we are going to lay these out. So when I am thinking about laying them out, my main goal is just kind of get a rough design. I'm going for a rectangular shape because a square blanket would not be comfortable. See, we're going to flip them right sides together, and here is where pinning is especially important. So I'm going to pin the edge, and then I'm going to pin each seam, just because these are, I want to make sure these get stable. So we're going to take it, we're going to take our iron, and we're going to give that seam a press. Just kind of set the seam, and then we're going to open up, and we're going to press it open. Finished topper. It's not perfectly square. So what we're going to do before we attach to the back is we're going to square this up. I'm going to lay them down, right sides together, line it up again. Our next step is going to be sewing around the outside. We're going to use 1/4 inch seam. Do not sew this part right here. Up here, where we didn't cut it, we're gonna make sure. Now, because we want to give it as much durability as we can. And we're going to go nice and slow so we get even. We're gonna back stitch. Just make sure that holds nice and steady. All right, guys, we turned it right side. We turned it out. So we went around the outside seam. I just reached in and turned it right side out. But you might be asking, how do I get those corners? So we're gonna reach it in with my drumstick, and I use that to poke my corners out. And you see how I just kind of jam it in the corner, and look, it worked. Okay, enough of that. So I've already prepared it. I've clipped it all the way around, and I'm just gonna go ahead and sew this 1/4 inch all the way around. I laid it to the back side of my quilt. I put the flat unfolded side up against the edge of the quilt. That way, when it folds over, that gives you that nice folded binding look. Line it up. And I'm starting on a corner because I wanted to leave enough for the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and just start on this corner. Find my petal somewhere near there. Bit, and working my up the edge, back stitch, Our next step is going to be filling it with beads. This is the exciting part and also the tricky part. What I went ahead and did is I measured out my 5 pounds of beads because I'm going to make this is going to be a 5-pound quilt. I measured them into this big bowl. So 1.4. Find the top of my quilt. Dump it in the first column. Give it a little shake, and with each square, just really feeling it. Pushing the beads down. Okay. So now that I've finished that second row, I am going to go ahead and just finish these off, and I will touch back with you when I come to that very top row. Okay, so we have the beans filled up all the way, and I went ahead and did the top row because I figured I could just show you how to close it up. So on the top row, what I did is I filled each square individually so that the beans wouldn't leak out. I made that mistake on the previous blanket and had beads everywhere. So filling each square individually, then sew that one square, backstitch a little, and continue down the row until they are all filled. The next step is going to be to attach our trim to the top, since we did not do that originally. So I have gone ahead and clipped it in place, and now I'm going to go ahead and sew it so that it is attached. You still want to be cautious of cut our threads. And now we are ready to flip it to attach the front of the binding. And I've already attached the binding the rest of the way around the quilt so that we would be ready. This would be the last step. And when I attach the binding, I open it all the way up to where we had that fold. I gave it a half fold into that fold line and then fold it again. So you're folding it twice and then fold it over. I'll show you that again. So we're going to give a half fold to that crease, another fold to the edge of the quilt, and one last fold, folding it over the quilt. And clip that. I'm going to work my way down here, making sure that all the Here is our finished blanket. We have our nice, beautiful cats, and I think it's adorable. I think my daughter's gonna really love it. The total weight of this blanket ended up being 5 pounds, so pre-measuring the beans really worked well. I love it. There you have it, guys. So we finished the weighted blanket. The total hours it took me is about 5 hours, 4 separate sewing times. And this is really a project you can do in one day, probably an afternoon. I have to break up my sewing times a lot because my illness really stops me from long sit downs at the sewing machine. So first project is done, other than my son helping me do a project with him. So I hope you all love it. Can't wait to see your weighted blankets you come up with, and I hope they help your kids or you or anybody you love. So please share your blankets with me, and if you have any suggestions of what I could do differently, comment those in the comments below. If you like what you see, please don't be afraid to subscribe and like, turn on the bell so you get notifications every time I upload. And don't forget to check out my website where new stuff is posted all the time, and my amazing husband is my website designer. So it is currently still getting changed and updated as we get it all finalized. Thanks for coming on the journey with me, and I can't wait to see you again. Remember, sewing is an adventure, but as long as you do it one breath at a time, you'll get through it. Bye, guys!
Bottles, cotton scrap, so you guys